Joining us now is Jordan Damiani. He is a senior wealth advisor at Meridian Credit Union. And today we are discussing socially responsible investing. Welcome back to the show, Jordan.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so as a society, there seems to be more focus than ever on living our values. And you believe investing can be an extension of one's belief systems, right?
I can, and I think especially because I'm part of the millennial cohort.
You admit that, do you?
I admit it. I do. Sometimes there's a negative connotation, but I think in society today we're really looking to live our values, right? So, for instance, are we being environmentally friendly?
Are we getting rid of our water bottles?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Are we accumulating in landfills and things like that? So, naturally that can be extended to the investments that we choose for ourselves. And I think this category has been around for quite a long time. However, it's getting a little bit more traction as time goes on.
Well, I know that when I look at my investments, even though I may smoke the odd cigarette, I don't want to invest in tobacco companies. I choose what I don't want to invest in. But now there's more options about telling you what you can invest in. But how many people would you say are aware of this or use this kind of format?
So you know what? I feel like it probably is underutilized. Now, McKinsey Investments did a study that suggested 70% of Canadians are interested. In socially responsible investing. It just doesn't necessarily always come up, because people have the perception that, investments that maybe, are bad for the environment might make them more money, which doesn't always have to be the case.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I hope not.
So do you think the reason that people are not more sort of engaged in this on an active basis may be because it adds another layer of complexity? Investing's already hard.
Yeah.
So it adds another layer where you're saying, okay, I'm now cutting down my other opportunities.
Absolutely. And I think traditionally it's not been something that's been offered everywhere. If you go into your traditional bank, they're not going to say, hey, would you like a socially responsible investing option? They might just have a limited framework of options. And I think even the category isn't really explained well. So, a lot of people don't really know what options are available to them or what qualifies as socially responsible investing in the first place.
Well, here you are. So explain to us. Yeah.
Well, for example, you're a vegan, right?
Vegetarian.
Vegetarian.
Yeah.
So you would not. How would that translate for you?
Alberta beef is out of luck for you.
It's out of luck with a smile on my face. So yes, you know what? So I've got some individual companies that I own and mutual funds, but I would go out of my way to make sure I don't buy individual stocks of companies that I would perceive as being, not vegetarian friendly. I think when you screen things down, it's really hard to be, to kind of perfect that.
Okay. SRI, that's what we're going to call it from now on. Yeah. So describe what factors make it an SRI investment.
Absolutely. So there's really two core components, if you think. So SRI stands for socially responsible investing. And there's kind of a lighter version of it. So they call that ESG, which stands for environmental, social, and governance factors. So really, they're still looking at a wide range of companies that are out there that they could possibly invest in. So these are still, mainstream multinational companies, but they're going to focus and say, are these companies, so I'll give you an example. If it's an oil company, are they still pushing to be more environmentally friendly? So are they trying to reduce carbon emissions? Are they focusing more on like hydroelectric as an example? And they might look at that as a consideration versus a pure. The other element, so say maybe social. Well, if it's a mining company, are they mining conflict diamonds? That we would find socially unacceptable if we actually knew where they were rooted from, or governance. So a lot of corporate boards tend to be white males, right? Is there diversity in the corporate board and thus a diversity of opinions? So
that sounds like a lot of work for an investor to consider. Do you handle all that and break it down for people?
So that's where you kind of outsource, a lot of this to a professional or fund manager. So the credit unions actually tend to be very community focused, and an extension of that is partnering with NEI Investments, which is a socially responsible investment firm predominantly with over 30 years of experience. So a lot of times, people, to your point, Kate, it's a lot of work. Do I have to do it? Well, not necessarily. You can outsource that responsibility. So at a fund company level, they're doing those screens just to make sure that what you invest in, passes that litmus test.
But I would assume there are so many different factors for different investors. For some people, it might be energy. For some people, it might be food. For some people, it might be diversity.
Yeah, so that's a great point. So I think short of buying individual companies, it's kind of imperfect because there's always going to be something. So great examples if you own any company. Well, for me, if they serve meat in their cafeteria, is that, a reason to exclude it? Well, it can't be if it's such a small element of their business, right?
Okay, so let's talk about Beyond Meat. Because
Sure.
you put that in here as a case study, and because you're a vegetarian. But I think it's a great idea, but I'm concerned about what we're putting into our children's bodies. And basically, Beyond Meat counts as a highly processed food that has a lot of bad stuff in it that you'd be better off to, grind up a few beans or lentils and make
Yeah.
your own burger. So there are different ways of weighing everything.
That's fair. And the comment about the lentils, I would agree with you. There's going to be nothing healthier than that. But I think if we look at traditional beef and some of the impacts, so I think a lot of people are positioning it as being healthier. I don't know so much that it's healthier, just more friendly to animals and the environment. So there was actually a neat study from the University of Michigan that said, Beyond Meat, excuse me,
That's
burgers
okay, we got there.
compared to a traditional beef burger use about 99% less water, 93% less land, and 90% or generate 90% fewer greenhouse gas emissions. So this is just an example that I wouldn't necessarily endorse as a good or bad investment, but just to show that this is now a publicly traded company that people can look at and say, is this company disrupting a decades-old traditional market? And do I want to choose to invest in this? So these are kind of some of the core concepts, and I'll kind of go back to what is SRI investing. The other one is where they're actually stricter and omit certain categories. So if you think of kind of to the comment about what do they not invest in, and everyone might feel differently, they're going to look at, say 4 or 5 categories and say, what do most people feel is unacceptable to invest in? So that would be, traditionally weapons, it would be pornography, it would be gambling. Tobacco is a big one.
Big one now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So are there investment companies that specifically work in SRIs?
Yeah, so just to kind of reiterate with NEI Investments, so that really is a partner of the credit union. Actually,
Okay.
they're partially owned by the credit union cooperative across Canada.
Okay.
And it really is a big focus for them to be socially responsible.
What does NEI stand
So
for?
Northwestern Ethical or Investments.
Ethical
That's what it stands
investments.
for. Yeah.
Okay.
And they can access somebody or funds from there through you?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you think of traditionally, people would walk into the credit union. So let's use Meridian as an example, and the advisor that they meet with would kind of sit down with them and do that discovery, and really ask them what's important to them. So if socially responsible investing is important, well, that's great. We've got those fantastic options available in-house, and they really function like traditional mutual funds, because really that's what they are, where you're getting a portfolio manager to effectively take your money and pick a basket of investments on your behalf, and it's still tailored to risk tolerance. So you can have a really conservative portfolio or a really growth-oriented one that's still socially responsible.
Where does weed fit in? Is that considered a
Weed
socially responsible
It
investment?
depends on who you ask. It fits in where I think I've got probably on a weekly basis, I get people asking about marijuana companies. So I guess would it be considered tobacco? That's
That's what I'm asking.
That's a question. I think it's a new industry, so what you'll find is it's really volatile. So it wouldn't
Yes,
necessarily.
I found that.
You found that?
I found that. I'm still waiting to catch up after the massive plummet, but we'll see what happens. I'm
Right.
just sitting,
Yeah.
leaving it, waiting.
Yeah, and I think so. That's goes to the whole concept of they still look at companies from a normal investment perspective. And the marijuana industry is very new. Really there aren't a lot of profits there. There's a lot of spending, so you might not see that included just by virtue of not wanting these speculative businesses, right?
Okay, so where do people go to learn more?
Yeah, so the easiest spot is www.meridiancu.ca. So that would be our website where you can actually seek out any local advisor and really go into any Meridian branch and get started and just ask for socially responsible investing.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for telling us all about this and joining us today.
Oh, thank you very much.
What she said.